the most radioactive place on Earth, and it's now a paradise for animals. Here's what nobody tells you about Chernobyl. April 26, 1986, 1:23 in the morning. A routine safety test at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant goes catastrophically wrong. Reactor number 4 explodes with a force that sends radioactive material 12 miles into the sky. It is the worst nuclear disaster in human history. Within hours, 49,000 people are ordered to leave their homes. They are told they will return in 3 days. Most never came back. The city of Pripyat was abandoned forever. But something unexpected happened. When the humans left, the animals moved in. This is their story. When families fled Pripyat in 1986, they were told to leave their pets behind. Soviet authorities promised the animals would be collected and cared for. It was a lie. Soldiers were ordered to shoot every dog and cat remaining in the exclusion zone. The animals posed a radiation risk. Their fur could carry contaminated particles outside the zone. But not all of them were caught. Some dogs survived. They formed packs. They found food. They had puppies. Today, an estimated 800 to 1,000 stray dogs live inside the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Scientists call them the Chernobyl dogs. They are the descendants of the pets left behind nearly 40 years ago. In 2017, researchers began studying these dogs. What they found was extraordinary. The Chernobyl dogs have developed genetic mutations unlike any dog population on Earth, changes that may actually help them survive higher levels of radiation. These dogs are not just surviving in one of the most contaminated places on the planet. They are evolving. Workers at the plant have formed deep bonds with these dogs. They feed them. They give them names. Some have arranged for puppies to be adopted in the United States and Europe, the descendants of abandoned pets. Now the permanent residents of a radioactive ghost city. These are not wild animals. They approach humans with trust. They wag their tails. They play. Scientists from the University of South Carolina have been collecting DNA samples since 2017. The Chernobyl dogs are genetically distinct from any dog population on Earth. The pets that were left behind to die are now helping save human lives. The dogs were not alone in inheriting Chernobyl. Nature itself came back, and it came back hard. Without humans, no cars, no factories, no hunting, no farming. Wildlife exploded across 2,600 square kilometers of abandoned land. Brown bears appeared for the first time in over a century. Lynx prowl through hospital corridors. Bald eagles nest on factory rooftops. Pheasants strut across the main square where Soviet parades once marched. Hares shelter inside abandoned supermarkets. Storks build massive nests on every chimney. Fox cubs sleep curled up in old baby prams left in overgrown courtyards. Snakes bask on stadium seats in the afternoon sun. Fish swim through flooded basements of apartment buildings that once housed thousands of people. And in the Pripyat River, giant catfish, some over 2 meters long, growing to sizes never seen outside the zone. The famous red forest, where trees turned rust red and died after absorbing lethal radiation in 1986, has slowly come back to life. New growth pushes up through the dead trunks. Wildflowers carpet the ground where nothing was supposed to grow again. In the abandoned apartments, birch trees have grown up through floors and out through ceilings. Roots crack through concrete. Vines consume entire buildings floor by floor. A tree grows through the bedroom where a child once slept. Through the roof, into the sky. In the kindergarten on Lenin Street, a fox has made her den among scattered Soviet alphabet books and children's toys. She raises her cubs each spring in the same room where children once learned to read. Think about that for a moment. A herd of over 200 red deer now grazes on the main boulevard of Pripyat. Where Soviet families once walked to work, stags with massive antlers stand in the morning mist, completely at home. Wild boar roam through abandoned schools. Owls nest in cinema halls, where Soviet films once played to packed audiences. Beavers have built dams that flood entire roads. Nature quietly overriding everything humans built. Przewalski's horses, an ancient species that was nearly extinct, were reintroduced to the exclusion zone in 1998. Today, over 150 wild horses run freely across abandoned Soviet airfields. Their hooves thunder across cracked runways that once served military aircraft. Every autumn, hundreds of cranes fly in formation directly over the city, their calls echoing off buildings that no human will ever live in again. The Chernobyl exclusion zone has become, accidentally, one of the largest and most biodiverse nature reserves in Europe. Created not by conservation efforts, not by government policy, not by human intention, but by human absence. When we left, everything else came back. Scientists call it an accidental experiment, a glimpse into a world without us. The irony is impossible to ignore. The most contaminated place on Earth is also one of the most alive. Deer graze where children once played. Eagles soar over reactor buildings that will remain radioactive for thousands of years. The forests grow thicker every year. The animal populations grow larger every year. The buildings crumble a little more every year. And it is not just the large animals that returned. The insect populations inside the zone are among the most diverse in Eastern Europe. Rare butterfly species that have disappeared from the rest of the continent still flutter through the meadows of Pripyat. Dragonflies patrol the flooded basements. Bees fill abandoned apartments with hives so large they split the walls. The silence of Chernobyl is deceptive. Stand still for a moment and you hear everything. Birds calling from every direction, water moving through flooded streets, wind through broken windows, the distant splash of something large moving through the river. This place that was supposed to be dead for thousands of years is instead buzzing with life, every single day. Biologists who work inside the zone describe the same feeling. The moment they stop thinking about the radiation and simply look around, it feels like standing at the beginning of the world, before humans arrived and changed everything. A preview of what comes after us. The buildings that once housed 50,000 people are slowly disappearing beneath roots and vines and moss. In another century, they will be gone completely, swallowed by the forest. But of all the animals that have taken over Chernobyl, none have thrived quite like the wolves. The exclusion zone now has one of the highest wolf populations on Earth. Scientists estimate there are 7 times more wolves here than in any comparable uncontaminated forest. 7 times more. In 2014, researchers fitted several Chernobyl wolves with GPS tracking collars and radiation dosimeters. What they discovered shocked the scientific community. These wolves are regularly exposed to radiation levels that would be fatal to humans, levels far exceeding what international safety guidelines consider dangerous. And yet they are thriving. More extraordinary still, the wolves are leaving the zone. GPS data shows Chernobyl wolves regularly travel outside the exclusion zone boundary. Some have traveled over 200 miles from the reactor. They are potentially spreading genetic mutations developed inside the zone into wolf populations across Eastern Europe. At night, packs of these wolves roam the empty streets of Pripyat, past abandoned apartments, past the rusting Ferris wheel, past the empty school where children once played. At night, packs roam the empty streets of Pripyat, past abandoned apartments, past the rusting Ferris wheel, past empty schools where children once played. They have no idea what happened here. This is simply home. The Chernobyl wolves have become a symbol of something bigger than science. They are proof that life finds a way. Always. No matter what we do, no matter what we destroy. In the most broken place on Earth, the wolves run free, And they always will. They have no idea what happened here. This is simply home. For scientists, Chernobyl is unlike anywhere else on Earth. It is a living experiment, an accidental laboratory that has been running for nearly 40 years. Teams from universities across the United States, United Kingdom, France, and Ukraine work inside the exclusion zone every year. They wear radiation dosimeters. They work in shifts. They study animals that have adapted to conditions that should, by every scientific understanding, kill them. What they are finding is rewriting biology. The Chernobyl wolves show cancer resistance mechanisms that researchers have never observed before. Their immune systems appear to be actively repairing radiation damage in ways that human cells cannot. Even the trees are behaving strangely. Dead trees inside the most contaminated areas are not decomposing. The microorganisms that normally break down dead wood have been killed by radiation. Trees that fell in 1986 still lie perfectly preserved on the forest floor nearly 4 decades later. Every answer raises new questions. The zone is teaching scientists things that cannot be learned anywhere else. It has been nearly 40 years since reactor number 4 exploded. The massive steel arch built to contain the reactor will stand for the next 100 years. The city of Pripyat will not be habitable for another 20,000 years. But the animals do not know this. Every spring, new cubs are born inside the zone. Every autumn, new flocks pass overhead. Every winter, wolves run through empty streets under the snow. No monument, no memorial, just trees. And somewhere in those trees, a wolf howls, not in mourning, not in fear, simply because this is his forest now, and it always will be. Chernobyl did not kill nature, it freed it. If this story moved you, subscribe to Facts from Kitty. New stories every day. History is never what you think it was.